Let's now open in prayer. Father God, I thank you for today. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I pray that my words will hit home, that you'll guide my tongue, that I'll be able to plant a seed, that these men will be able to grab onto that seed, take action on that seed, and level up to men of full potential, ready to have influence and make impact in this world, Father. Gents, it is a pleasure to be here. My name's Drew, and I work with men in addiction therapy and performance enhancement. I need two guys. Apparently you've got a broken ankle. So the two of you, come on. Okay. So we got a chocolate, come on, come, we've got things to do. We've got a chocolate up for grabs. Okay? Chocolate up for grabs, we're doing a race. Okay, this is your line. First one to the wall. Come stand in line up here, face over there.
I'm flat-footed.
First one to the wall wins a chocolate. Okay. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3, go! There we go. All right. He was flat-footed anyway, he was never going to win. What happened there, lads? Both started the race, same time. One guy had something holding him back. All right? That's life, right? We have this race to run, and we don't know how long we've got to run. We don't know how far we're going to get. We're trying to get as far as possible, and then somewhere along the road, some of us pick up some extra weight. Bogs us down, and we don't get to run at our full capacity. We don't get to be as effective and have as much impact as we would otherwise like to have. So the question I have for you today, before I get into anything, is how much of your potential do you want to have access to in this life? And when do you want to start having access to that potential? When are you going to wait? Are you going to wait? Are you going to wait until high school's done, until varsity's done, to eventually step up and be everything that you need to be to get as much done as you can? Working on 3 premises. The first is that you get dealt a hand of cards and you get to play those cards. You don't have other cards. Right? I'm working on the premise that as a man, it is your job, it is your purpose to have as much impact and have as much influence as you can have. And I'm working on the premise that we're all going to die. That eventually your race gets cut short. You don't get to say when or how, but you have one shot. You don't get to have a second shot. And you get to run as hard and fast in this one go, this one race as you can. So, how much of your potential do you want access to? Starting when? Who am I? My name is Drew. I work with lads, I work with guys, ex-military special forces. I work with young money millionaires. I work with some international DJs you guys would recognize, with young professionals. And the thing they all have in common is they've got regrets. They've picked up some consequences of certain decisions that they've made. Well, I've got these pictures up over here of me putting in a sneaky step. And after the OE day, loved art education. That stuff was sick. My rugby was not. I played left back on the bench. You guys, I must say, it was a pleasure to get here. I was here for reunion weekend to watch you guys play against Kingswood. You guys crushed. When we were here, I had to stomach 50-0 defeats. So it was fantastic to see you guys. And some of you guys have been eating a lot of pies. There are some big boys on this team. But it was a pleasure to watch the boys run on and to kick ass. It really was cool to see. You guys have come a long way from when I was here. Anyway, I was here, and the point of these pictures is I'm trying to get you guys to relate to me. I'm trying to get you guys to understand that less than 10 years ago, I sat here. Not here, we were in the hall mostly. But I sat in the school. And I had Mr. Boerter stand up, or Mr. Baines stand up, or some teachers stand up and say, don't do drugs. Don't have sex, with strangers at least, or in a bad situation. And don't... you guys. You guys aren't even there yet, okay? And I had some Sunday school teachers stand up and tell me, don't watch porn, Jesus says it's bad for you. And then, I got out of high school and did all of it. And whoa, that's not the applause time. smart asses. I left high school and jumped straight into that pit of pleasure. And I call it a pit because it looks really inviting initially. Looks great. And you jump into it, and it's really hard to get out. And yet, how many 25 to 30-year-olds do you know doing the things that you guys are looking forward to? Still doing them. The ones that don't want to be there. The guys still smoking cigarettes at 30. Do you think they want to be smoking cigarettes? It's because they don't know how to get out of the pit. The guys with children at 22. There was a guy 2 years behind me, at Woodridge. 1st December out. First taste of freedom. Slept with a girl in New Year's. 5 months later, got the call, you're a daddy. So he jumped in the pit and his consequences caught him real early. Doesn't always happen like that, but as soon as you jump into the pit, you're dodging consequences. I work with the guys that have now got the consequences. Every single one of them, successful guys. And yet, they decided to vape for 10 years, and now they've got flipping popcorn lung. Shagged too early at the wrong time, and now they've got kids. Or whatever else the temptation might be. So, why am I here today? Because I've realized it is more effective for me to jump ahead and try and warn you guys as to what's coming and break off 1 or 2 of the chains that have already caught you than to try and catch you guys in 10 years' time when you've had all the fun and now catch all the consequences. Because it does look fun, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to tell you that drinking sucks. There's some fun to be had. You guys are the most important demographic on the earth right now. There's a reason you guys will know who I'm talking about. He drives a Bugatti, shares my first name. There's a reason he's being persecuted by the powers that be. Do you think that he's the first guy to make his money from casinos and cam girls? He's not. Why is he being persecuted? Oh my God. He's being persecuted because he stood up. He's one of the first guys to stand up and tell you guys to stir your hearts and to let you guys know that the best thing you guys can be doing right now is not aiming for degeneracy. It's to being fit and stacking cash and being focused. That's why he's being persecuted. He's stirring up the hearts of the most important part of our population. You guys, in the next 5 to 10 years, and you set your tone now, but in the next 5 to 10 years, you guys become the pillars of protection, of provision within your community. You guys become the preside over your families. And if you guys are weak, if you guys have been castrated and cut off at the knees by apathy and addiction, you guys will never be effective. You guys face 2 unique challenges that the guys I normally work with don't. The first one being you're in high school and you have an external locus of control thrust upon you. Another person, another older man, gets to tell you your rules. You're not allowed to vape at school. You never have to say to yourself, I'm not vaping at school because I know it's a shit habit to have. I don't want popcorn lung from some Chinese secret syrup. The teacher tells you, you can't vape, and so you say, okay, fine, I won't vape. What's the problem with that? And it's what happened to me. As soon as you jump out of high school, because you've been outsourcing your discipline, you don't have any. And so the first time someone offers you some fun, you hop straight in. You guys don't even ask any questions. First challenge. Second challenge is very natural, very common. We have a curious rebellion, right? We're like, I know you don't know better than me. You tell me cocaine's bad for me, I'll let you know, right? We never assume that the guys ahead of us who have set these rules have been there and know and are trying to get you to avoid the same mistakes they made. And so I'm hoping, and I know it's 90% of you guys is going to go straight over your heads. I'm hoping one guy clicks on what I want to say today and says, wow, that guy's obviously been through it. He's had his own consequences. He's back here to try and warn us. Maybe I should be affected from today and not work at it for 10 years from now. And unfortunately, that's not going to be the case, but if I can get one of you guys to click awake, that would be great. It's always apathy or addiction. Apathy, a lack of interest in life. What does that look like? I'm talking about a lack of confidence. You think you're confident, you're not. It's a lack of routine, it's a lack of discipline, it's a lack of effectiveness, a lack of competence. And then addictions, all the classics. You guys are hooked by some of them already. We're going to talk about that today. What is your biggest handbrake? Do you guys, by any chance, have a rife meth addiction in this school? Not. Okay. Anyone else? All right, vaping. How many of you guys vape? Those were almost, I say, almost. Okay, so we're not admitting to the vaping today. What's the issue? What's the biggest handbrake that have got 95% of you by the balls right now? Come on, okay, chocolate. Chocolate, who wants a chocolate? What's the biggest issue? Adult industry. What do you mean by adult industry? Porn. It's porn. Is this you? Huh? Go! The biggest handbrake, the biggest trap that you guys have all already fallen into, this bad boy right over here. And you guys don't even understand the impact it's having on your lives yet. The real consequences haven't hit you yet. Give it another 5 years. Then the guys come crying. There's a reason it's free. When the service is free, you're the product. Idiots. Huh? So, what we do in the program, what we're going to start with today, is 3 steps. What we're going to do first is we're going to raise Vantage. We enhance our perspicacity and we get a better understanding of the problem so that we can have a better position from which to attack it. That's what we're doing today. The next part would be to overhaul your identity. We're not going to get there today. And then last but not least, we join a gang. Before we get to that, underlying principles. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to kick you off of the couch. Nobody's coming to make you work out. Nobody's coming to make you study. And I'm sure nobody is coming to take your phone away from you to make you quit porn. You will be a porn addict for the rest of your life if you don't step up right now and sort this out. And if you think it's going to get easier, you're the product of your habits. You're an accumulation of your decisions. Do you exercise? How you eat? The obvious ones. What music are you listening to? How is your morning routine? Do you have one? Probably not. You guys ring, the bell goes off, you guys get to the breakfast hall and you guys get to class, right? Who do you hang out with? How do you talk to yourself? All these little things. You guys are making 1,000 subconscious decisions a day, and right now you're on autopilot. Like they want you to be. Bah, sheep. Huh? Keep the promises you make to yourself. As soon as I see a man who lacks confidence, I know that he can't keep his own word to himself. He tells himself he's going to do something, and then he doesn't do it. So if you want to become a more confident person, you guys think you're confident, I get it. It's only because you don't know any better. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Make a little progress each day, that whole 1% gain thing. It's popular for a reason. It does make sense. We're looking to get a little bit better every single day rather than staying in the same place, watching the same porn the same night every single day of the week. Take it one day at a time. As an addict, you guys know I'm talking to you. It's really hard to imagine that you'd be able to fight this thing for more than 5 days. I could go for 1 day without porn. I could go for 2, maybe 3 if my life depended on it. But I know I'm going to cave in a month's time. I'm going to cave eventually, so I might as well cave today. When it gets hard today, when I get horny today, I cave. Who laughed at horny? Clouds. And so I rather cave today because I don't think I can last a month. The fight gets easier as you go along. You're not the same person in a month's time after denying yourself, after bringing your mind and body under discipline for a month's time. You're not the same person dealing with the same issue anymore. Slip, don't slide. I'm very much an all or nothing kind of guy. And that is a bit of a problem. Right? We mess up in one little area and then the whole day we're like, might as well get some chocolate and some cereals and everything else. The cuck cycle. What's a cuck? Who knows what a cuck is? Wait. I have a question. Everyone hands up. Everybody put your hands up. Everyone put your hands up, just before we can just set this tone. Everyone, one hand up. One hand up, my guy, come on. Okay? Put your hand down. Put your hand down if you've never seen porn. So we know who we're talking to. Hey? Okay. Moving. Put your hand down. Put your hand down if you haven't watched porn in the last month. Liars! At least we know who's honest. Okay, moving. The cuck cycle. Who knows what a cuck is? What's a cuck? Okay, a cuck. Let's quiet. We move. A cuck is an insult from Shakespeare. Back in the day, if you wanted to rip somebody, you called him a cuck. A cuck is a guy who watches his wife get had by other men. Why are you going, you got all cucks? Every single one of you is a cuck. When does it start? When does it start? You guys were too young to even know there were consequences. Right? And now you look around society, we are the most sexually primed society we've ever had in history. From your movies, to your series, to the Insta thoughts, twerking it out. It's everywhere you look, right? They're riding you up. You're being wired all the time. Do you think that's by accident? Do you think you're being primed the way you're being primed by accident? You're being played, my guy. How many of you, if I opened your Explore page right now, all I'm going to see is titties? Huh? It's all of you. It's all of you. Right? And so we're the most sexually primed society in history, and yet my generation, not you guys, because I know you guys aren't there yet, right, is having the least sex ever. Seriously, your grandparents had more sex than my generation has. Oath, stats. Why is that? Why is that? Right, the lights went off, there was nothing else to do. You might as well, right? Okay. Why aren't we having that much sex anymore? Because you're being cucked. And because you're seeing it everywhere, you think, I'm getting so wired, and they're not actually having real sex. Why not? Why do you think it's happening? You climb in super young. I was 9. You was yesterday. You guys are only 10 and 11. Listen, climbed on there, saw my first vagina in HD. Bang! It's got you, right? That dopamine hit like nothing you've ever had in your whole life. Guys, porn is a drug like any other. There's a chemical release that hits you as hard as any other drug does. There's chemistry behind what's happening here. So you climb on early, you don't really know what the consequences might be. It's just really lucky, and so it becomes an everyday thing, it becomes an every night thing. It's the best way to fall asleep. It's how you end your day. 95% of you. Huh? And so the next time you've got that urge in your pants, you're 18, 19 now, 20, 21, you're off to varsity, you've got that urge in your pants, you don't want to go chase a real girl. You don't want the effort of a long-term relationship. You don't want the possibility of rejection. And so what do? You go back to your room. How fast can you type in Pornhub? And whack one out. Like a loser! Do you know how pathetic the idea is? Imagine. You were the guy holding the camera, filming you, watching pixels on a screen and whacking off. Pathetic! Is it not? When I put it in perspective like that. Imagine your creator, imagine your ancestors looking down on you. Pathetic! And yet it's where all of you are. You guys are laughing and it's literally all of you. And you become a programmed eunuch, an NPC. If I was trying to take over the world, if I was trying to take over a population, what would I do? Come, smart boy. What do I do? I'd incapacitate the men. I'd kill them off. I'd castrate them. Unfortunately, it's become a crime. We can no longer kill people the way we used to, and so that's no longer an option. What do we do now? Cheap entertainment, cheap sugar, porn. Done. You guys are gone. Off the game before you even started. No impact, no influence, no strength, no power. Soft, brittle. No tenacity, no spirit. Gets worse and worse. You guys are at the good part now. You haven't been hit by the consequences yet. I had a model in my bed. Supermodel. Brunette, long legs. I couldn't get it up. You guys are, oh, that sucks. You guys will get there. Give it time. Give it time. That was my turning point. I'm trying to talk to you guys before you get there. So let's talk about the science behind what's going on. Let's talk about the chemicals. The first one, the instigator, dopamine. You guys think of dopamine as the reward chemical. Dopamine gets you to do what you need to do in life. What happens when you watch porn is you get a big dopamine hit, spikes. Right? Think about your brain as a grassy meadow, long, lush green grass. If I walk from this point of the meadow to this point of the meadow, I walk a certain path. And then the next day I come home and I do the same thing and I walk the same path. Eventually, you develop neural pathways that the dopamine gets firing and you say, this happens and then I do this. I get home, I whip on my bed, I whip up my phone, whack one out. Right? Now the great thing about your brain is you can change this. You're not too far gone. It gets harder and harder as we go along, but you could decide to break off those chains and to level up. It's easier now than it will be in 5 years' time, I can tell you that. Now, as you get that dopamine release, something called the Coolidge effect, I'm not going to get too deep into it, you get less dopamine for the same experience. So, you go and you find more and more aggressive porn to get the same hit. How many of you guys think you have ADHD? Hands up, hands up, hands up, quick. I thought I had it too. I'm not saying you don't. What is ADHD? You're looking for stimulus, right? You guys sitting in class going, you're looking for a hit, you're looking for stimulus, you're looking for dopamine. And every single night, you give yourselves a killer spike of dopamine. Nothing else in your day comes close. So you sit there thinking you have ADHD, you're a porn addict. It's already whacking your performance. And listen. Not everybody that has ADHD is a porn addict. Don't get me wrong. It isn't the only thing that causes it. Another segue. What else causes a massive dopamine spike throughout the day that's causing guys to lose focus? Why the sudden surge in ADHD amongst teenage boys in high school? Hey? Scrolling your reels, my dude. Dopamine. 3-second attention span, dopamine. All right. But porn, massive one. All right? Violation arousal, what happens there? It shocks you. The porn is a little bit more hectic than you're used to, and the fact that it's more aggressive, more gnarly, actually gets you going. Where do you find yourself 10 years down the line, and what does that do for your expectations of sex? What does that do for your expectations of a girl? That beautiful, wholesome, innocent, pure little girl that you should be looking after, protecting, and loving suddenly doesn't do what you need her to do for you to get aroused because you're so warped. Right? The next one. The release, that moment. Eh? It makes you go to sleep. That's why it's so addictive, guys. It's digital heroin. It's impacting your brain. You release natural opioids. Keeps you hooked. What else do those opioids normally do? Why is it releasing these opioids? You get an opioid release for social interaction because it's so important. It's rewarding you for that. What is the most important social interaction you can have in life? Procreation. Bonding with someone and then having children. And so it gives you a whack. Well done, my boy, you had sex. Except you didn't, because you're a cuck. And so you get this massive spike, this massive reward for work you never did. Right? And you think you're confident, but you're not. Why aren't you confident? Because normally when I come up to a guy, shake his hand and look him in the eyes, I get a little bit of opiates. It's a release. It calms me down. It keeps me chilled, rewards me for the social interaction. Now you just got these massive spike again, and again, and again, and the normal social interaction that gives you a little bit of dopamine doesn't hit your minimum threshold. Watch how confident you get in 8 days, in 2 weeks. The difference is night and day. You guys have just never gone that long. Why? Because you're a cuck. Retaining your energy. Your energy, and I'm talking about energy as your ability to do work and to create, to be effective. Sexual transmutation is essentially the redirecting of that energy. It was written about by a guy called Napoleon Hill. Andrew Carnegie owns 30% of American steel. He talks to Napoleon, he says to him, go and interview these titans of industry, go and write down the philosophy for success, and he does. About 80 years ago, they're making a movie about it now. He writes 2 chapters that I think are great. And we're not going to get into the other chapters today, unfortunately. But the first chapter, he talks about sexual transmutation. It's the redirecting, it's the harnessing of your energy. It's not emptying your tank every single night, keeping that energy and redirecting it into being effective. Stop watching porn, watch your performance go up. On the sports field, in the classroom, watch your confidence climb.
Is this for porn or for wanking?
Wanking. Stop wanking. Bro, a man is getting you off. How gay is that? Guys, some mental high performers. And if you think that this is a fugazi and something that isn't real, understand that I'm talking about Jobs, I'm talking about Gandhi, I'm talking about Mike Tyson, I'm talking about a whole bunch of these high performers. What do they all have in common? They retain their sexual energy and they redirect it into their purpose. Napoleon Hill, he's the one that writes this book. Fortunate indeed is the person who has discovered how to give sexual energy an outlet through some form of creative effort. For he has, by that discovery, lifted himself up to the status of a genius. My boy, same thing, kept it to himself. Guys, some of the consequences you guys have already found. Your brain shrinks. Literally your brain shrinking. Every time you jerk off. Like a cuck. Your frontal lobes are shrinking. What are your frontal lobes responsible for? Motivation, focus, impulse control. Your ability to say no to yourself is directly correlated to that part of your brain, and you're shrinking it every single day. You think there's no consequence to what you're doing? It's costing you. You guys just haven't felt the consequence yet. It's coming. Benefits of kicking the habits, guys. My favorite one, and it's the one that seems like it's the most not real, is the self-image and the confidence. And that makes a difference to your life. Reset timeline, guys. Oh, let's go back one. So initially, that first week, habitually, you've always been used to whacking one out, so habitually you want to go back. There are no real cravings yet. By week 2, the cravings start to hit. I'm telling you, I'm walking you through this, so when you decide I'm going to stop, you can know what to expect. all right? By week 4, wet dreams. I bet a whole bunch of you guys have probably never had wet dreams before. Your tank's never been that full, right? It's your body's, it's your body leveling out again. It's releasing some of that extra energy. Best dream ever. Okay, and then we have something called flatline. You get worried for a moment because you feel like it might not be working anymore because you kind of, your libido, your drive seems to drop off a cliff for about a week. Don't let that scare you. A lot of guys collapse because of that. This is your timeline. This is what to expect, guys. By 90 days, your dopamine and your opiate receptors have reset. You can be a real boy again in just 90 days. Stop watching porn. Like a cuck. Right? Practical steps, lads. Be disgusted with yourself. It is pathetic. Consider what you're doing. Analyze it objectively. It is disgusting. Right? Deal with your emotions, deal with the triggers. We turn to porn as a form of escape. You got rejected by a girl, you're anxious over a test, you're bored, and so we turn to porn. Deal with the real problem. Right? Remove the stimulus. If you have a hot girl on your Instagram and you don't know her personally, what are you doing? Huh? You're revving yourself for what? You think the heroin addict doesn't like the hits? Huh? My God, we all like boobies. It's not helping you. Right? Remove them. Delete it. Any kind of graphic stimulus that's getting you going, cull it. It benefits you nothing. Break the momentum. You're getting aroused, but you can still have a little piece of your brain. You're saying, I'm not going to do this. What do? I don't know, cold shower, push-ups. Go run 20 kilometers. It doesn't matter. This is the most important fight you guys haven't even tried to take on yet. And if you don't cross that bridge, you will forever be a cuck. Right? We have to take this fight on at some stage. I recommend you do it as soon as possible. Slip, don't slide. If you're going to jerk off, like a cuck, at least do yourself the benefit of not watching porn. Help your dopamine receptors to reset. Help your brain to know what's normal again. If you're going to slip, at least don't slide. Draw that line in the sand. I may mess up and jerk off, but it's not going to be to porn. I'm not going to be a cuck. At least then you're taking a step in the right direction. It's not okay. We want to retain that energy. I want that drive. I want that dog in me. Right? But if you're going to let one off, if you're going to be weak, if you're going to hate yourself afterwards, at least draw that line and don't cross that line. Take it one day at a time. All of you recovering addicts stepping out of here. Looks like a long fight. One day at a time, guys. One fight at a time. If you can deny yourself the first time when it's really tough, it gets easier. Don't cave when it gets hard. Get it? Right? Hey! If you can fight it off the first time, it gets easier. Learn to fight when things get hard. Add Vantage, increase Perspicacity. That's what we've just done today. Gave you a little bit of insight. What do we do next? We overhaul our identity so we are a different man, dealing with the problem through a different perspective. And then join a gang. So overhaul identity. I don't have time to get into this with you guys. We do have a program. This is the introduction, then we do the work. Now, I don't have time for that. I do have something for you guys. There we go. So, overhauling identity. 2 ways to go about this that are very effective. What happened to the Marines that went to Vietnam? Almost all of them tried heroin. The American government thinks these guys are going to come home and be raving addicts. Guys come home, and normally today, 9 out of 10 heroin addicts relapse. Out of every 10 guys that came home that had been heroin addicts in Vietnam, 8 completely dropped it. Never again, never picked it up again. What had happened? Their environment had changed. They weren't in Vietnam anymore. Great way to drop an addiction. I went through Africa on an overland tour, 62 days with my mates, smoked cigarettes the whole way, left it in Malawi, never smoked cigarettes again. Great, leave it somewhere. Very cool. You guys can't just look up and bounce right there. It's a little bit tough. Okay, so what we can do is overhaul our identity, change the perspective. How do we do that? Daily disciplined action, a 5 a.m. wake up. Why do we do it? Because it sucks. You tell yourself you're going to do something, you keep the promise to yourself, you do that enough times, you build that confidence, and you're no longer the same guy. Simple one. Right? 100 push-ups every single day. We upgrade our software, a couple of ways we go about that. We upgrade our hardware. We build our hardware to build our software. Right? We upgrade our fuel. Easy way to be disciplined and to increase our performance and to increase our mood. I can't get into all of this. This is another whole hour on its own. It's for free. DM me. I will send you all the program, telling you step by step what to do to change the man in the mirror enough to not be an addict. We can't just cut off the bad. We have to step into the new. There's an opportunity for you guys if you guys would like to do this. And then last but not least, join a gang. If there isn't a WhatsApp group here of guys looking to build themselves, of guys looking to be the best version of themselves, why not? And why aren't you the guy that's starting it? Who are the leaders here? Huh? Who are the cool kids? We've got one cool kid over here. Who's the other cool kids? Start a group, get your boys involved, and build a momentum. Choose to not be a degenerate. Choose to be the leader. Guys, what is 100 Club? Essentially, it's the program. It's a gamification of these steps. It's 100 days. We've got a group, and every single day you can see the guys reporting in. I've done my 100 reps. I've done my 100 reps. I've done my 100 reps. I'm clean. It means he hasn't cucked himself to porn or any of the other vices he's supposed to be giving up, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's vaping, whether it's gambling, whether it's alcohol. I work with guys doing a whole bunch of different addictions, right? And then you got a guy over here, how's it boys? I messed up. We keep each other accountable. Find a group, find a gang of guys, and jump on, my dude. Hold each other accountable, encourage one another, and level up. Lads, this is where you can find me. I wish you all the best. The question we started off with that I'd like to come back to is, how much of your potential do you want access to in this single race you have to run? And when do you want to have access to it? Thanks, guys.